Hey there, pilots! This is Dauntless Sam, and today we'll be looking at the history of the Heinkel He-112 and its flight characteristics in War Thunder. The Heinkel He-112 was a fighter aircraft designed by Walter and Siegfried Günther. It was one of 4 aircraft designed to compete for the Luftwaffe's 1933 fighter contract, which was eventually won by the Messerschmitt Bf-109. Small numbers were used for a short time by the Luftwaffe, and small runs were completed for several other countries, but fewer than 100 were completed in total. In the early 1930s, the German authorities started placing orders for new aircraft, initially training and utility aircraft. Heinkel, as one of the most experienced firms in the country, received contracts for a number of 2-seat aircraft, including the HE-45, HE-46, and HE-50. The company also worked on single-seat fighter designs, which culminated in the HE-49 and later with the improved HE-51. When the HE-51 was tested in combat in the Spanish Civil War, it was shown that speed was far more important than maneuverability. The Luftwaffe took this lesson to heart and started a series of design programs for much more modern aircraft. One of these projects called for a day fighter with a top speed of 400 kilometers an hour at 6,000 meters, which it could maintain for 20 minutes out of a total endurance of 90 minutes. It also needed to be armed with at least 3 machine guns with 1,000 rounds per gun, or one 20mm cannon with 200 rounds. The specification required that the wing loading should be below 100 kilograms per square meter, a way of defining the aircraft's ability to turn and climb. The priorities for the aircraft were level speed, climb speed, and then maneuverability in that order. In October 1933, Hermann Göring sent out a letter requesting aircraft companies consider the design of a high-speed courier aircraft, a thinly veiled request for a new fighter. In May 1934, this was made official, and requests were sent out for a single-seat interceptor, this time under the guise of a sports aircraft. The specification was first sent to the most experienced fighter designers, Heinkel, Arado, and Focke-Wulf. It was later sent to newcomer BFW on the strength of their Bf-108 advanced sports plane design. Each company was asked to build 3 prototypes for runoff testing. By spring of 1935, both the Arado and Focke-Wulf aircraft were ready, the BFW arriving in March and the Heinkel 112 in April. Heinkel's design was created primarily by the twin brothers Walter and Siegfried Günther, whose designs would dominate most of Heinkel's work. They started on Project 1015 in late 1933 under the guise of the original courier aircraft, based around the BMW 15 radial engine. Work was already underway when the official request went out on May 2nd, and on May 5th the design was renamed the Heinkel 112. The primary source of inspiration for the Heinkel 112 was the earlier Heinkel 70 Blitz. The Blitz was a single-engine 4-passenger aircraft. Like many civilian designs of the time, the aircraft was pressed into military service and was used as a 2-seat bomber, although mostly for reconnaissance, and served in this role in Spain. The Blitz introduced a number of new construction techniques to the Heinkel company. It was their first low-wing monoplane, their first with retractable landing gear, their first with all-metal design, and its elliptical reverse gull-wing platform would be seen on a number of later projects. The Blitz could almost meet the new fighter requirements itself, so it is not surprising that the Günthers would choose to work with the existing design as much as possible. In many ways, the resulting HE-112 design was a scaled-down HE-70. Like the HE-70, the HE-112 was constructed entirely of metal, using a 2-spar wing with a monarch fuselage with flush head riveting. The landing gear retracted outward to the low point of the wing's gull bend, which resulted in a fairly wide 9-meter track, giving the aircraft excellent ground handling. Its only features from an older era were its open cockpit and fuselage spine behind the headrest, which were included to provide excellent vision and make biplane-trained pilots feel more comfortable. The first prototype, the HE-112 V1, was completed on September 1st of 1935, but as the planned Junkers Jumo 210 engine was unavailable, A 695 horsepower Rolls-Royce Kestrel Mark II S was fitted. Initial test flights at the factory revealed that drag was much higher than expected, and that the aircraft was not going to be as fast as originally predicted. The V-1 was sent off to be tested by the RLM in December. The second prototype, the V-2, was completed on November 16th. It had the 640 horsepower Jumo 210C engine with a 3-bladed propeller, but was otherwise identical to the V-1. Meanwhile, the data from the V-1 factory flights was studied to discover where the unexpected drag was coming from. The Gunter brothers identified the large, thick wing as the main culprit, and designed an entirely new, smaller and thinner wing with an elliptical platform. As a stopgap measure, V-2 had its wings clipped by 1 meter to allow it to compete with the 109. This made the HE-112 creep over with the wing loading requirements in the specifications, but with the 109 way over the limit, this was not seen as a problem. The V-2 was sent off for testing. The V-3 took to the air in January. Minor changes included a larger radiator, fuselage spine, and vertical stabilizer, but it was otherwise largely the same as the clipped wing V-2. Other changes included a single cover over the exhaust ports instead of the more common stack, and it also included modifications to allow the armament to be installed in the cowling. It was expected to join the V-2 in testing, but instead was assigned back to Heinkel in early 1937 for tests with rocket propulsion. During a test, a rocket exploded and the aircraft was destroyed. But in an amazing effort, the V-3 was rebuilt with several changes, including an enclosed cockpit. The HE-112 V-1 started in a head-to-head contest on February 8, 1936. The other 3 competitors had all arrived at the beginning of March. Right away, the Focke-Wulf FW-159 and the Arado AR-80 proved to be lacking in performance and plagued with problems, and were eliminated from serious consideration. At this point, the HE-112 was the favorite over the unknown BF-109, but opinions changed when the BF-109 version 2 arrived on March 21st. All the competitor aircraft had initially been equipped with the Rolls-Royce Kestrel engine, but the BF-109 version 2 had the Jumo. From that point on, it started to outperform the HE-112 in almost every way, and even the arrival of the Jumo-engined HE-112 version 2 on April 15th did little to address this imbalance. As would be expected, the HE-112 had better turn performance due to its larger wing, but the BF-109 was faster at all altitudes and had considerably better agility and aerobatic abilities. During spin tests on March 2nd, the BF-109 version 2 showed no problems while the HE-112 version 2 crashed. Repairs were made to the aircraft and it was returned in April, but it crashed again and was written off. The version 1 was returned to Heinkel on April 17th and fitted with the V-2's clipped wings. Meanwhile, news came in that Supermarine had received a contract for full-scale production of the Spitfire. The Spitfire was far more advanced than any existing German aircraft, and this caused a wave of concern in the high command of the Luftwaffe. Time now took on as much importance as any quality of the winning aircraft itself, and the RLM was ready to put any reasonable design in production. That design was the BF-109, which in addition to demonstrating better performance, was considerably easier to build due to fewer compound curves and simpler construction throughout. On March 12th, RLM produced a document called BF-109 Priority Procurement, which indicated which aircraft was now preferred. There were some within the RLM who still favored the Heinkel design, and as a result, RLM then sent out contracts for 10 Zero Series aircraft from both companies. Testing continued until October, at which point some of the additional Zero Series aircraft had arrived. At the end of September, there were 4 HE-112s being tested, yet none was a match for the BF-109. From October on, the BF-109 appears to have been selected as the winner of the contest. In War Thunder, there are 3 variants of the HE-112, the V5, the A0, and the B0. The HE-112V5 is a Rank 1, battle rating 1.7 fighter. It has a maximum speed of 472 km per hour, a turn time of 16.1 seconds, a rate of climb of 13 meters per second, and is armed with two 7.92mm machine guns with 1,000 rounds. The HE-112A0 is a Rank 1, battle rating 2.0 fighter. It has a maximum speed of 474 km an hour, a turn time of 17.4 seconds, a rate of climb of 13.1 meters per second, and is armed with one 20mm cannon with 150 rounds. The HE-112B0 is a Rank 1, battle rating 2.0 aircraft. It is a maximum speed of 487 km per hour, a turn time of 17.2 seconds, a rate of climb of 12.9 meters per second, and is armed with two 7.92mm machine guns with 1,000 rounds and two 20mm cannons with 120 rounds. The HE-112 is a very maneuverable aircraft and can match or outturn others. The only issue with this maneuverability is that it is difficult to get the nose up while making tight turns. Also, the plane lacks armor and breaks up easily. I hope that this information has proved helpful. If you liked the video, please do like the video. If you would like to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and if you think anyone else would be interested in this video, don't be afraid to share it. This is Dauntless Sam. Thanks for watching.